One of you has just a little survey, right? Just 4 questions. Please fill that out, and you can set them on the table right here as you guys leave. And it's just, you're our target audience. Congratulations. And I couldn't think of a better way to communicate or get direct feedback from what you guys want to see from us than this right here. So, thank you.
Yeah, we'd appreciate your feedback. If I can say a few more words, I don't know if you're running too late. I first met Bob and Kathy Drain in our classic church and all. And the first thing I heard was the Ukraine trips, and they were the kind of people that were so careful with money. They actually go over there, wouldn't give the money to people. They just buy the beds, they buy the water heater and get it there. And I thought, well, that's the kind of people I want to donate to, because they were responsible with the money. Yes. So that was my first attraction to support Hopeful Hearts, and I appreciated that, and I still do. So anyway, does anybody have any questions before we wind up? Anybody want to ask anything of Brian or Roger or me? Or I've been on the board, I don't know, 12, 13 years. But
about Myanmar, what's the political situation like there right now?
Pretty. You got to be sensitive to what we do as far as going there. Military is very influential. He comes to check on Samuel at times.
Checked on the kids about a month ago.
Checks on the kids. It's kind of touchy. It's not safe enough where we feel like we can go.
And it's not necessarily like Christian persecution as it is political belief.
Myanmar is still do not travel country for according to the government. It's on the level. It's a level 4 do not travel. Samuel did say he saw some foreigners there this last week in hopes that we can travel. I would like to travel, maybe April or October of next year if conditions change. With the military coup a couple of years ago, it has kept us out because of the political, the civil unrest that's currently still going on. They fought on the borders ever since 70 years. They've been doing Civil War stuff out on the edges. But when the military took over the government a couple of years ago, it brought it all across the country. Samuel will say every once in a while they'll hear explosions, even where he, and stuff where he lives, and so it's just not a place that we're prepared to take a short-term mission trip yet.
We rely on our partners so heavily if it's safe to come or not, and we're relying on them, of course, to take us around when we're there, keep it safe and all. So, and we've got really good partners that we trust with everything. Samuel, Rohini, all of them where we're going and traveling in Kenya. So we really rely on them. We're blessed to have them. Question?
Yeah, you mentioned in here a question about what can you do more of, but I'm kind of interested to hear. Sounds like you're in a lot of places now. Do you have a number that says this is about the average of our budget percentage-wise that we spend in each location, or how do you distribute that? And what do you think you can do more than you're already doing now? You got someplace in mind?
The thing we think we can do more of is grow the donor and participant base. So when we do that, we'll expand. Yes, I agree. We're looking to partner with a couple more countries, and we say we're in a lot of places. We're in 6 places right now, and it's kind of shrunk down a little. What we can do has shrunk because of some of the political situations and stuff like that.
What's your annual budget, just for argument's sake, roughly?
300.
So 6 places for $300,000 is not a lot in each of those places. So I can see why you need more.
Correct.
But then again, if you're going into more places, you're going to even need a lot more.
We like it when we're not the sole provider for them.
Okay.
We like it where they don't have all their income from one source. Some reason if we couldn't or whatever, we don't want them to rely. We also believe that we need to have it, so we never could call them and say, we're out of money, we can't give you this quarter. That don't work in our ministry.
We like to go deeper where we can, but there's only so far you can go deeper in the country until you become the primary provider of everything, which we don't want. We want them to try to be self-sustaining, independent as much as possible. So there's only so many programs you can do. We have the transition home place, but really feeding and clothing and maybe building a house. Sometimes it's as far as you can go in a place, and you have to go to another. In order to help more kids, or do something, you have to go to another place. I'll be introducing a place, and the next board meeting, a partner for India that I've been contacted with. We'll do some contact work. And what we always do before we decide to partner with somebody, you know, we vet them. You know, we'll travel somewhere and go, yeah, okay, this is a real ministry. It's not just somebody who said, oh, I need money, and we're dumping money without knowledge of what's on the ground. So
Our goal is never just send money and not know
No, and
who's
that's-
getting it, what they're doing with it. We try to go and stay in touch
and
and
to be clear,
encourage them and be a partner with
Yeah,
them.
that's
you
one
know,
of the
early
things I
on,
appreciate about this.
12, 13 years ago, Kathy and them went on a trip to Sri Lanka and Myanmar. They've been around the world, and they
Diane was one of the first to go there with Southeast.
and they ran into a partner. They ran into a person that they went there and turned out to be it was something we did not feel comfortable partnering with. So that's always going to be our goal. Is in the way we do things is to meet hands-on, so we feel like we can be justified and it's valid and warrants, you know, us to be good stewards and use the money and put money there to make it and try to make a difference.
Roger had something he wanted
I think Bob probably had the original heart for that in when we seen some of the sustainability projects in Myanmar that we began with Samuel, of course, with the dairy, and then extended on to the village. It was the heart to try to make them as recession-proofed as we could possibly make them, because we're not too proud to know that we can continue this kind of prosperity. We want to try to help them get in a position where they're not so fragile that they are totally dependent on it, while yet having the faithfulness to continue to try to do everything that we can. So I really appreciate the question, because it speaks right to the heart of a lot of the things that Bob and I have talked about, and Bob has taught us, is not only does it recession proof them, but it also gives them some skin in the game. It gives them some responsibility here, and also it teaches children while they're watching their house parents earn some money that there is an option for them in life too. It gives them a vision for how to do life better than what they have gotten, so far. And
It's really what? Yeah, go ahead.
No.
I'm just going to speak. Go ahead.
Okay. First, Mark and I just wanted to say thank you all very much for having this. It's very nice. We love being a part of Hopeful Hearts, and I did fill out on this just a suggestion on when you all know about the mission trips, the more advance notice for us that are working, to be able to plan and ask off work and all the better. And I did write that, on here. And I do know that, there's things that come up that you all can't plan yet, COVID and other things, but the more advance notice, the better. So
That's one of my agenda, to see Roheen in November now, to plan the other dates for the trip next year. Hopefully we can get her. We have to try to plan it when our kids in school or out of school.
sure.
So November, we're hoping they're out of school, but when we go back and if we can go in April when they're in school, so we can see the Alpha school while they're in school. So, but that's one of my things, to nail it down, get on it quicker.
Yeah, it's part of our
Put it on our calendar.
Well,
That's what we need to do.
And historically, we had some regular trips, and sadly, even when you were trying to schedule stuff into Kenya, COVID really changed a lot of stuff. We could plan a trip, and then when you talk to Peter in Kenya, he go like, "Well, I don't know when school's going to be out." We're talking just he said, "Well, I don't know if it's going to be." I mean, you're in February. He doesn't know if school's going to be out in June. And that's well. So our goal is to make those plans, but it's been difficult for the last 3 or 4 years, especially because their schedule has changed so much. It's made it difficult.
I was gonna plan a
Hang
trip.
on. Nobody can hear.
I was gonna plan a trip for last June to Sri Lanka. We were gonna go to Sri Lanka last June again and started planning a trip and see if we could do that in June for Alpha School. And as I got into it, found out, guess what? In June, airfare is twice as high to go there because of Europeans go to Sri Lanka for the beaches, and it's a vacation spot in June. and I was like,
But
that was, just didn't make sense economically to do that in June, so we need to be doing some more
But as,
investigation.
but as Ryan mentioned, and that's, it used to be a thing, we used to know exactly where we're going, and it's going, it will be that way. We may not know that it's going to be April 11th, but it's going to be in April, we're going to Sri Lanka. It's going to be, we used to go to Myanmar, April, October, you know, hoping we can resume that. You know, and those 3 countries that we can travel to, if we add Myanmar, and we can travel, you know, then April, November, you know, we're going to go to, or you can almost bet we can go to Sri Lanka in April of this coming year if we want, because we've always been able to go there. It's a time to be there. So, but that's great because it's hard. I know I've seen places before that have this big long land, and it so happens when we're dealing with our partners. We want to go there when the kids are out of school, and literally Sammy would say, "Well, I don't know when school's going to," you know, would say, "I don't know exactly when school's going to be out." Well, I don't want you to have to pull the kids out of school because we're there, and so that's been one of the big pushes. It's great. Thank you. Anything else? Yes.
I just want to say thank you. And Jan and I started this with the fact that we trusted in our faith in Kathy and Bob and what they did and the decisions they made. And as far as we're concerned, we trust you. And I really appreciate the fact that you're going to be doing more communications with the website and all. I think that'll be great.
Just wait, we gotta figure out how to do more of that. I think there's a lot of interest after trips, and a team comes back, there's a lot of interesting interactions we had with the children, and all would be fun to hear how we do that. We gotta figure that out.
You know, so many people like being contacted, like Bob, and it's, when you look at our database of donors, we have about a third of people who have their way to contact them electronically. So, you know, and I've put it out in a couple of newsletters, hey, send me your email, so we can get the, we got 5 back. 5.
To be honest, we've always had trouble getting email addresses and phone numbers from.
That is part of our new marketing strategy is we're going
sent out
after.
1,200 newsletters, and you know, I was looking for 200 or 300 emails, but needed 500 or 600 emails probably, and got 5, and you're like, oh, you know, of course people are afraid.
Everybody else in the world has my email.
You know, please, no, they're not, you know, we're not going to sell it.
all over the place.
You know, we're not going to sell it. It's just going to be some updates on the ministry, and maybe pray here. A girl the other day had an appendectomy from the Myanmar Christian Village. Had an appendectomy. I would love to be able to, and I put it on the Facebook page. But it would have been great just to get that email thing, and just emailed everybody in our organization just immediately and said, hey, look, pray for Susan. She's having an appendectomy. But those are things we're looking for. We've always done things gala, 3 or 4 newsletters, and we want to do more because we know that people appreciate. We should appreciate the contact. We want to be not overwhelming. We want to be in line, but to keep ourselves in front of you. So because we know you all are the faithful ones. You're going to do. You know, we pray that you continue to do what you've been doing. But if we put a touch point in front of you, maybe you'll the next time you're somewhere say, hey, you know what? I saw this in my email bucket the other day. I was talking, and you share it with somebody else, and it'll create some more interest for our organization. Because you know the reality is, in order for us to sustain long term, it's going to take new people. Because it's just the way it is.
Things evolve over time, right?
It started off with just a little bitty thing in Ukraine that nobody thought was going to be what it is today. Kathy and that group that started Hopeful Hearts back then, thought they were just going to paint a room in an orphanage and maybe put up some window coverings, and they did. But that was, you know.
And I want to comment
It was
to
20
that
years ago.
point right there. You know, when we say we want to expand, I want us to keep in mind one of the prayer requests that we received for us to pray about to come from our partner in Myanmar, Samuel. And it really encourages me to know their hearts and to pray for them too. But you know, one of his was for the wisdom as we mentor different types of many kids. You know, this is speaking to me. These are individuals. This isn't the multiplicity approach. This is the individual approach. And I've seen it firsthand when I've been there. When they are approaching these children as individual children that have their own individual situations and problems and challenges and have their own individual futures and hopes and aspirations. And I really, that's the kind of partners that we're seeking out and that we are partnering with. I can't really tell you how encouraging it is to me when I receive a prayer request like this, and it's wanting wisdom to know how to. And I can't imagine. He's got like 90-some kids in his conference.
He's got 68 now.
He does.
Look, so what you think about it?
To
You know, you
to
think
do
about
that on an
everybody.
individual basis, it's got to be a God thing. This isn't the power of man that's doing this.
When you think about our partners, every one of them has anywhere from 18 to 68 kids living in their house. Just 16, 17 kids. Okay, thank you, appreciate it. You know, thanks, thank you. You know, so just think about it. When you're dealing with that many kids, different personalities and things, what Roger's talking about, it's a real thing. You know, hey, look, how do I work and keep on each one of these kids individual? But that's where their hearts are at. It's not treating them just like a group of kids. Each one of them is an individual relationship. So, you know, those are the type of prayer requests that we've gotten from our partners that we have at our prayer meeting on that Monday. Any other questions?
Education of the children is, we've over time realized how important educating these kids. You just can't feed them and clothe them. You gotta get them educated if you want a chance once they're through the orphanage. And for one kid, that may be learning how to run a sewing machine in Myanmar. For another kid, it may be going on to be a doctor and a scientist, or
Maybe Mary who wants to be who's a nurse.
yeah.
You know.
Jinta from Sri Lanka, I don't know if we publicized her. Jinta was one, she and her sisters, tsunami victims, lost their parents, been in the orphanage, she's grown up. Her sister's teaching now in one of the schools in Sri Lanka. Jinta went to Pakistan and got her doctorate degree and now is applying to Moody Institute in Chicago to be,
So just
a PhD. Well, I hope she gets in there. Then we could, visit her and whatnot. But I don't know if she'll get in. It's hard. I've heard it's hard to get in there as a foreigner. So.
But it's another story to change life.
Another story, but that's the kind of thing. It's got to range from menial labor, learning enough to how to get out and get a job, to somebody that wants a PhD.
So expansion is not always more.
It's
Sometimes
a real
expansion is doing better with what we have.
But Roheen is innovative, and she had a woman in her church that lost her husband, didn't know what to do, and she had 3 of the boys that aged up, and they're going to be in college now. So she got the widow to be the house mother for the 3 boys in their apartment. That's pretty neat. I mean, Roheen's a smart lady. It's all 2 things right there.
Are there any other? Yes, Mary.
And Brad, when you say they're living in a house in Myanmar, 17 of them, I don't know that you could call it a house. The square footage is probably less than this room we're in right now.
Well, the good.
And there's about 17, 15, 20, there was about
room for the
20
boys,
of
room
them.
for the girls. There'll be bunk beds.
Yeah,
We'll have
yeah.
There'll be
It's
7 or 8
very,
kids,
very
girls
small.
sleeping in one room, 7 or 8 boys sleeping in the other room, and the houses are 30 by
Yes.
40.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So yeah.
But they're doing it well.
And realistically, that's what they said they needed. That's what we said. That's what we raised funds to build, and it's worked. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Specifically, my church is Chapel in the Woods. Okay, we're part of Southeast, but we're also separate. Have y'all gone to these individual satellites, thank you, and checked to see, because I could see, like, my widow's group might want to help with Hopeful Hearts. And we're through Chapel in the Woods, which is through Southeast, but don't just go to big cheese, go to the little cheese.
That's a good point.
If you let us in, I'll come present.
Well, my
Well,
point
I-
exactly.
yeah.
With Judy and Jane and I, our circle, the Abigail Circle, part of Southeast, we had been supporting a foreign mission and they had retired from that. And so we needed a new foreign mission to support. Our circle voted on Hopeful Hearts because we all knew about Hopeful Hearts. So monthly, from September through May, we donate an average of $300 a month to Hopeful Hearts. And that is just our group of women. But see, that's another example of introducing it to your smaller groups.
Yes.
So, and small groups need a mission.
Right.
They need something that keeps them focused on helping others. And so
Well, and we were already established, our circles, we do, local missions